This is for Judy. My name's Tom Wilkins. I have probably performed, been on stages in front of tens of thousands of people in my career. This is above and beyond anything I've participated in. Why? Because of Judy Coleman. Judy was not only a friend, she was my best critic. I would come off stage and she'd say, "You were so funny tonight, but I think you need to change that joke just a little bit." She would just always have some inspiration that would make you laugh. As my friend Ellen Clark talked about, she was just a remarkable person. She deserved any accolade she would get. She was always, I know, during the Tea Party days, when we were all real active, she would sit right over there, right in front of the camera, or right behind, I should say, her husband Tracy, who was taking pictures. And one day, I went up to Tracy, I said, "You know, Tracy, you've been doing this for years." He said, "Doing what?" "Taking pictures. You're always taking pictures. I think that's great. What do you do with them?" And Judy says, "He don't know what he does with them. He just takes the pictures." I thought that was so funny. And she said it in her own kind of sarcastic, fun way. That's the thing I'm going to remember. Was she a friend? She was a friend to many people. She was a friend to people that even she didn't know. That's what made her remarkable. She has done more probably to put politicians into office, people that were just regular people, and all of a sudden, bam, they get into office, now they're a politician. And Judy befriended him. She was there for him all the way, up until recently. When I first heard about Judy's illness and how serious it was not that long ago. And the word I had was Judy would be passing on to heaven, which is where she's at now, in about 3 to 4 months. She didn't make that. I think she was ready to go to heaven. And God needed her up there worse than we did down here. But we're going to take away so many great memories. And without belaboring this anymore, Judy, we love you. Tracy will love you. And now here's some of your friends to tell their stories about how you impacted our lives.
Hi, I'm Mary Bournival, and I first met Judy and Tracy in 2009, when Americans across the country began to band together to hold our elected officials more accountable to the people throughout a movement called the Tea Party. Like Bob and I, they felt ordinary people, just like us, needed to be more involved in what our government was doing. Judy was always there in her chosen role, which was to encourage people who were running campaigns and support them in their decisions and actions. Shortly after being sworn in as a justice, I did a walk through the historic county courthouse with our former judge, Rick Davis. That historic building was certainly showing lots of wear in her old age, and we felt it was important to restore her and not just abandon her for something shiny and new. We created Pioneer Days, a 4-day event held at the county fairgrounds in which we tried to recreate what our county would have been like in the 1800s. In 2012, Judy met a young man named Tom Cotton. He was running for a first term in the U.S. Congress. Over the years, I witnessed Judy and Tracy become integral parts of this community, Without asking, you just knew they were going to be present when it counted most, and they would be serving in some capacity and inquiring about or questioning various government actions. Bob and I became best friends with Judy and Tracy, spending countless meals together, discussing the news stories of the day. And truthfully, I guarantee we solved most of the world's problems, if anyone would have just asked. She had such a deep capacity for love, and it couldn't have shined brighter than when she teased Tracy and called him his old poot. And of course, when she talked about her two boys, Mark and Tom, and her grandchildren. And no one who knew Judy could doubt her unfailing belief in this country and our community. She loved this country, dedicated so many moments of her life sharing our flag, our Constitution, our history with others, and she supported our military and first responders. Judy deserves this tribute more than anyone I know. Judy, we love you.
My name is Frankie Oxner, and Judy and I were together in the Daughters of the American Revolution. One of the greatest blessings in life is friendship and the love that it brings. Judy, you were a miracle to all of us. Each of us here today represents a patriotic sisterhood that you gave so much of your time and your talent. There is so much I could say, but I will miss you so much because of your friendship and your companionship.
My name is Carol Hunter. I'm in the DAR, and it's John Percival here in Hot Springs. Some of mine may seem a little frivolous because Judy and I were the same age, and we always teased about that. But I want to read Micah 6:8. He has told you what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. Judy McGrew Coleman was a kind and humble person whose life reflected her faith. I met Judy in 2010 through DAR. We also connected in the Garland County Tea Party, the Republican Party, and the Daughters of 1812. I could always count on Judy to help me in every way she could with any task I needed help on, and that meant so much. I am wearing extra jewelry today as Judy and I both had a love for unusual pieces of jewelry and always talked about them when together. She was a bargain hunter like me when it came to buying clothes. Again, we connected on noticing what each other was wearing and bragging on each other, complimenting each other. And it still makes me chuckle to think about when I shared a room with Judy and her mother, Margaret McGrew, at a DAR Board of Management meeting in Searcy, Arkansas. For the first time, I realized that, and even told them both, I had not realized that until that trip that Judy got her cute, slightly ornery personality from her mom. But when we stayed in that room, it kind of came out that she was ornery also, as I said, in a very nice way. Another thing that Judy and I used to banter back and forth about was our birth year. I would say, we are both 1947 gals. She would then say, Now you have to quit saying that. My birthday is in January and yours is in December. So we're almost a year apart. So you have to stop telling people we are the same age. And I'd answer, we are the same age because I was also born in 1947. We are 1947 gals. And so it went with her fake act of being dismayed. I am so sad that Judy is no longer with us. But I know that I'll see her again one day in heaven.
I'm Judy Robbins, president of the Colonel John Washington chapter. I really appreciated that Judy volunteered graciously to be my chaplain. It's always difficult finding people to take offices. One of the best things that I remember about Judy was how much fun she was. We had a great time when we rented a condo and had a bunch of 17th century ladies there, and we had a lot of fun. And I always enjoyed her support in whatever we were trying to do in our chapter. Thank you.
I met Judy in 2014 when I joined several of our organizations we're all involved in, and she was always a lot of fun, and she was kidding, and you could always count on her. She was the best chaplain we ever had, and I'll really miss her.
And I first met Judy when I first ran for office in 2009. Running for office and being involved in politics, you learn very quickly that there is a vacuum of leadership. And most Americans, most people in Arkansas will go their whole lives without attending a political rally or getting out and holding signs for a candidate or doing the things that are necessary for good people to be elected to office. Tracy and Judy exemplified to me those people that have done everything that they possibly could to make the world a better place for their kids. And I know that their kids were proud of them. And Judy she was always a bright spot. In any event that you went to, anything that you participated in, you could always count on that big bright smile. And she will be incredibly missed. Tracy, our prayers are with you and the boys. We're just so grateful that we got the chance to know her and to love her, and we thank you guys for sharing.
Diana and I have known Tracy and Judy Coleman since April 15, 2015. After the Garland County Tea Party was established. From the very beginning, Judy was an essential member. She loved to have parties and events and would do whatever she was asked. She was fun to be around because she was so enthusiastic and full of energy. We need more people like her who care about what goes on in local government and how to change the status quo. Judy had an unassuming personality and would ask questions to politicians. Sometimes she would ask them in a way that sounded like she didn't know the answer, but she knew it already. She just wanted to put them on the spot and give an answer. Judy and Tracy attended many quorum court meetings in the past, and truth be known, more than some who currently serve now. The court always knew when Judy was there, and sometimes county judge at the time, Rick Davis, would say after a discussion, "Judy, you got any questions?" One memory I cherish was a Christmas parade down Central Avenue. I don't recall the theme of our float, but she wanted to dress up in a colonial era dress. Mary Bourneville can attest it was 20 degrees, but she rode the float from Whittington to Reserve without a coat, waving and smiling. In closing, I will say she was dear to my heart and won't be forgotten. The last time I talked to her was Friday, December the 11th. I told her, "Judy, you know I love you, and many people are praying for you." Her reply was typical Judy. "Well, Reggie, I'm just sitting here." She will be remembered and missed by many friends she made along the way. And Tracy, I want you to know that we're praying for you.
I've known Judy for quite a long time. She was one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She didn't have a mean bone in her body, and she really did like to have fun. We were both teachers, and we talked about that. Judy taught 5th grade, and I taught kindergarten. And whenever she talked about her students, it was with compassion. We used to have a big Christmas party at our house every year, and Judy, without ever mentioning a word, would bring me a centerpiece for the table. Every single Christmas party, she did that. One year during our Dirty Santa game, Judy ended up with this giraffe. It was a pathetic thing. I don't know who put it in there. The neck was broken and it was kind of ridiculous, but she loved that thing, and she kept it on a shelf in her room, I guess you call it a family room, for a long time. And every time we went over there, she'd say, "Look at that pathetic thing. Isn't that something?" But she kept it. She liked it. She always called me the day after the party to tell me how great it was and how glad she was that we invited her. 3 Christmases ago, I broke the femur in my left hip 2 days before the party, and my husband had to call everybody and tell them the party was canceled. You know what Judy did? She came to the hospital to see me and brought a plant to cheer me up. But really, she was a remarkable woman with a lot of compassion. One funny story about Judy is that she told us about when her son, I think it was the youngest son, was in kindergarten. She got called in for a teacher's conference, and the teacher told her how smart this boy was because he knew what a vehicle was. And she said, "Well, you know why? Because every time in the morning when we're getting ready to go and he's a little pokey, I say, 'Get out there and get in that vehicle.'" She was really a great person. She's one of the best friends I've ever had. I cannot tell you how it's affected me. She was special, just special.
I'm George Pritchett. I've known Judy since 2010 when we were all running for offices, and we wound up taking over the courthouse with all Republicans, or nearly all Republicans, and a couple there that were acted more like Republicans that wouldn't call themselves that yet today. But anyway, Judy was a hoot. Judy could be so funny. She could tell something and the next minute she could be as serious as a judge. You had to watch, you had to wait, sometimes I didn't know whether I was supposed to cry or was I supposed to laugh. But I can tell you this, if there was a political meeting somewhere and she could get to it, she was there for most of the 10 years. Now, she missed a lot with her mother. I tell you, she was a wonderful, wonderful daughter. She was there for her mother all of these years, and yet she still found time to support you if you were a candidate, if you were just someone that spoke at a meeting. She was there to encourage you, to support you, to provide whatever kind of assistance it might be helpful to achieve what our goals were and what her goals were. Above all, she was a patriot. No one could ever say anything without thinking about Judy as how patriotic, how thoughtful she was. She wore it. She had a flag. She always had something. She looked patriotic. She was patriotic to everything. I was always so proud of Judy. For doing those things was really proud. But going against the grain and supporting the Confederate memorial here in town, which I support, but I was so proud of her, and I always offered her the kind of encouragement that I was glad she did that and what they did, because it's history. It's what we know, where we came from and how we got to where we are, and it's what made us patriots. Wherever you went, when there was a political event, they were going to be there. When you saw her, she lit up the room with her patriotism and how she dressed and had a flag or had something on, a pen. You just couldn't miss her and miss her encouragement there. And she will truly be missed. I mean, we will all miss her. We'll remember that smile that was so great. You just, when you saw Judy, that smile was as big as Texas. It just was always that way. My fondest memories of her are too many to mention. I can just tell you, the smile is probably what I remember the most. She will be missed. Tracy, we love you. We love Judy. We're going to miss her immensely. It won't be the same. But she supported everything: the Garland County Tea Party, the Garland County Republican Party, the Republican Women, the Garland County Tax Alliance, everything. Thank you, Judy, if you're watching this from above, and thank you, Tracy, for giving her to us and so much time that you both gave.
I'm Daryl Mahoney, and while I didn't know Judy as well as some of you, I do remember a few things about her vividly. One was that Tracy was always by her side. Wherever I saw them, they were together. No matter where they went, an event, you saw them at the store, no matter where they were together. And another is the fact that Judy would tell you exactly what she thought, no matter where you were at or what it was, whether she agreed with you or disagreed with you, but you never had any doubt where you stood with Judy. And I guess probably right now in my mind, I see Judy on the courthouse lawn waving a small American flag with an American flag t-shirt on. She was a true patriot. So last week at the Quorum Court meeting, we read a proclamation for Judy, and I'm going to read it again tonight and give it to you, so it'll be a part of this memorial for Judy. It's a proclamation honoring Judy Coleman. Whereas Judy McGrew Coleman, a lifelong educator and patriot who served countless hours in the preservation of the history and founding principles of the United States Constitution. And whereas Judy was born in Mountain Pine but followed her husband to Tennessee, where she was a teacher and a Boy Scout troop leader who took her troop to Civil War reenactment. And whereas Judy returned to Garland County, where she renewed her passion for history by becoming a member of the colonial dames of the 17th century and daughters of the American Revolution. And whereas Judy also rejoined the church she had been baptized in and would become an elder at Westminster Presbyterian Church. Judy became a charter member of the Friends of the Garland County Courthouse to lead in the preservation of the Garland County Courthouse and education of the children of Garland County and pioneer life of the century. And whereas Judy was active and engaged in every effort she made. In the Daughters of the American Revolution, Judy handed out flags and copies of the Constitution in schools and became a statewide officer and chaplain. She also served as statewide chaplain for the colonial dames of the 17th century, and whereas Judy recognized the Garland County Courthouse was in need of more repairs than the budget could hold, Judy offered her many years of experience to serve once again. The Friends of the Garland County Courthouse was chartered, and the creation of Pioneer Days as a fundraiser for the courthouse repairs, and to provide a living history of the early days of Garland County, tied together all of Judy McGrew Coleman's talents in history, teaching, and patriotism. Now therefore, in expression of sincere appreciation, on behalf of the people of Garland County, Arkansas, I, Darrell Mahoney, County Judge of Garland County, Arkansas, hereby officially recognize the contributions and faithful service of Judy Coleman and urge all residents to acknowledge and thank her for her countless hours of service and contributions to Garland County as its residents. Judy, you will certainly be missed. I know you're looking down on us today, and we wish the best for Tracy, and thank you so much for all you've done for America.
Tracy, Tom, Mark, we share your loss. I'm Alan Clark, one of the state senators here in Garland County, and it is my honor to represent all the local legislators. None of us would be in office without the help of Judy and all of the volunteers around here like her. Very significant, and those include Senator Bill Sample, Representative Mickey Gates, Representative Richard McGrew, Representative Marcus Richmond, Representative Richard Womack, Representative Bruce Cozart, Representative Les Warren, Representative Lori Rushing, and Representative Rick McClure. My earliest memories of Judy was when I started chairing the local Garland County Republican Party in 2010. And I remember the excitement of all the volunteers, but Judy's excitement and effervescence always is memorable, at least equal to, if not above, others. And her not just her enthusiasm, her work ethic, the way that she got out and worked. She always had ideas, but she always put energy behind them. My favorite picture of Judy is of Pioneer Days. Her dressed up in the old-fashioned dress and garb sold me. It, made me think that I was back in those days. And every time I see those pictures, I'm reminded of what a great time it was to go down there and listen and to hear and see what they were doing. But back in 2010, Judy was part turning Garland County and Arkansas upside down. She was part of us winning 21 out of 22 races when we had never held over 6 seats, or at least in 140 years hadn't held over 6 seats as Republicans, and then turned the state upside down. And she was always just vocal, fun, and energetic. As part of our memory of her, we want to present a flag. This flag flew over the Arkansas State Capitol, and there will be a certificate with it to commemorate her and to commemorate her life. And Tracy, I can't ever think of Judy without thinking of you. And for your quiet wisdom and stability to go with her energy and enthusiasm. And I remember so fondly the day that I can't remember if you just had knee surgery or were just fixing to have knee surgery, and drove me around down at Glen Rose, and I don't know who Judy was out campaigning for that day. And, and you kept being concerned. It was a particularly big dog day, and you kept being concerned, are you sure you're going to get out of the car here? And I'd say, well, they're not as bad as they seem. And fortunately they weren't. I wasn't always sure of that. But just, Tracy, our prayers and our hearts go out to you, both you and Mark and Tom, but Tracy, you I know. And God will be with you, we'll be with you, and we love you. She's gone too soon.
Al Curlock. I'll never forget Judy visiting me in the hospital with a heart incident. I spent 15 days in intensive care, and she visited me almost every day. Judy and I first met at a small committee meeting committed to raising money to restore the courthouse, which a lot of people have talked about today. They kind of underplayed it a little bit. As I understand it, they had been trying to get a roof on that courthouse for many years without any success. And when our group was founded, we were able to get that roof repaired, which was something like $250,000 or something like that. And we also, my wife and I, Jeannie, we also were involved in the Friends of the Courthouse. Pioneer Days is what I was trying to think of. One day she came to our meeting with a deep Tupperware box loaded with papers that she kept rooting through. Then she'd stand up and talk. After about 4 or 5 times, she said, "This is the last time I promise." She was standing 3 chairs to my right, and I turned to Liz Robbins on my left and said, "Yeah, I'll bet." And Judy said, "I heard that, Niall. It made me laugh." But she had excellent hearing, I'll say that. After that, we worked together on several fundraisers and the flea markets and so forth. And we helped at the sale of the items of our deceased mother's house. During all of that time, we became friends with her and Tracy. At my age, I've known a lot of people that have passed on, but her passing distresses me more than most of them. Thankfully, most of her suffering, the really bad part, was fairly brief. Who knows, maybe we'll meet up again. Yeah, bye.
I'm Margaret Head. And Judy, I didn't know you for all the years that these people did, that went to school with you, worked with you, studied with you. And I've missed a lot of years by not being there. I have never talked to a person that hasn't shown but the utmost respect for you. And I know you through my daughter Mary. And I love you as deeply as she does. I could see why everybody thought the world of you, Judy. Now I have a little word for Tracy. Tracy, this is going to be a very difficult time for you. I want you to know all these people that are here for Judy are going to be there for you. And they'll be praying for you and your sons. Take God in your heart. You'll never quit thinking about Judy with every beat of your heart. You'll be thinking of her. We love you, Judy, and Tracy, and boys, we love you also.
That I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over felt like lemon drops away above the chimney.